Hey guys, Nanomachines, we're taking a look at another Transformers trading card game deck profile, and this time we're taking a look at the Matrix of Leadership deck. Centered around Optimus Prime, Jazz, and Bumblebee. The strategy pretty much is playing free actions in the deck. You play a ton of free actions in this deck. You play cards like Start Your Engines, which untaps your cards. You play cards like Swap Missions, where you continuously untap your characters. Generally speaking, the person who should be doing the most attacking is Optimus Prime. But that's why we play cards. And I'm going to get into that strategy in a little bit. But first, let's talk about the characters themselves. Optimus Prime is the most expensive we have in the card game at the moment. He has 13 stars, which is well over half of your points. And he has some very good stats to compensate for that. He is a leader, and he is an Autobot, which means he can take the Matrix of Leadership and hold on to it. But in this mode, if you notice, he has the ability to, if you transform into his vehicle mode, take an action from your discard pile and put it into your hand. That means you can return cards from your scrap pile to your hand and play them instantly, even after you've milled them from attacking or defending, or even after you've played them in the first place. But that isn't everything about this character. His robot mode is one of the most powerful robot modes we have ever seen in the card game. Actually, it is. He has a base attack of 8, which is astoundingly high. And he has the ability that if you flip an action card from his attack, you can play it after your opponent defends. That means you can say, hey, oh cool, I've just flipped this leap into battle, let me increase my damage by +3. Or, I just really wanted to draw cards this turn, let me go ahead and play this Inspiring Leadership for free. Or, more importantly, you can play a card called Start Your Engines, which untaps your cards. Now, we have 2 cards in this list, and both of them have 6 stars. What we're going to lead off with is Jazz. Jazz is a very interesting card in this list because, well, you're not going to be doing a lot of damage with him at all. He's going to be purely support. Now, something that every card in this list has in common, though, is that they are an Autobot leader, which means that they can hold on to the Matrix of Leadership and pretty much support everybody else with that ability. But Jazz is going to be the guy who you're going to be attacking with first, because if you notice, he has a very interesting ability that prevents him from taking more than 2 damage if you flip 2 white cards off your defense flips. Which is insane. It could potentially mean that he is going to be a 5-shot for your opponent. But Jazz has a weakness, and I think you might have seen it already. It's that he has 0 defense, which means when you transform into your robot mode to try to get Pierce yourself, that's not a good idea, because your opponent is going to wipe you off the face of the planet. You're not going to want to transform unless you're darn sure that you're going to transform and do something important that turn. Speaking of Pierce, Bumblebee can also give everybody on your team Pierce when you transform into his vehicle mode. And that's actually very important because you play Start Your Engines. Start Your Engines is, of course, transforming all of your cars to their car mode and then untapping one of them. Now, Bumblebee, he also gives everyone Pierce, but so does the Matrix of Leadership. And Pierce stacks, so if you have 2 Matrix of Leadership in play, instead of just getting the Pierce 1, you're getting Pierce 2. If you transform Bumblebee, you're getting Pierce 3. When you stack a bunch of Matrix of Leadership, you can really see that damage start to pile up. His robot mode isn't too much to write home about. It's certainly more damaging than Jazz, and of course a lot more defensive than Jazz, but pretty much you're going to transform into robot mode just so you can transform him back to vehicle mode, using, of course, the most important card in this deck, Start Your Engines. Start Your Engines is one of the most important cards in this deck because it untaps your cars and transforms them as soon as you play them. That means that once they're untapped, you can attack them with them again after, of course, your opponent takes their turn. And it's a very important thing to note that just because they're untapped doesn't mean they're going to be attacking. Because you play a very, very good card called Swap Missions. Swap Missions untaps one of your tapped characters and taps one of your tapped characters. So if Bumblebee is untapped and Optimus Prime is tapped, you can untap Optimus even though he's 13 stars and untap your cheap Bumblebee. You can also use this to draw attention, for instance, Jazz. But most importantly is you can play this for free because of Optimus Prime's effect. This is one of the most important cards in the deck, and you will be using this the most. Another fantastic card that I wanted to talk about was Brainstorm. Brainstorm, unlike its Magic the Gathering's Origins, lets you play 2 more actions for free. In other words, you can play Brainstorm, and then you can play a Start Your Engines, and then you can play a Team Up Tactics. You can play all 3 of those instantly. You can flip Brainstorm from Optimus Prime, play at the Brainstorm, to play 2 of these cards. Or you can play another Brainstorm to give yourself another free action. You can potentially chain Brainstorm just indefinitely, so long as you keep drawing into the Brainstorm. It's a fantastic card that is integral to the list. Another card that you play in this list is called Turbo Boosters. Turbo Boosters is a very important card for your list. This is an upgrade that untaps one of your cars. Now, you know how good that Swap Missions is. Turbo Boosters makes it to where you can play it on Bumblebee, say, and then swap missions instantly to untap Optimus Prime. And untapping Optimus Prime is always a good thing. It also gives you +1 attack, which is fantastic. The important card in this list is the Matrix of Leadership. And of course, unlike all forms of media, you can play 3 Matrix of Leadership. So every single one of your characters in the entire list can play them and make use of them. It would give all of your characters +1 attack and +1 pierce just for existing. It's a fantastic card that your deck abuses. And if you aren't, to top things off, this thing is both an orange and a blue pip, which means if you flip it on your defense flips, you're still getting that plus defense. If you're flipping it on your offense flips, you're still getting an offense flip. It's an unbelievably versatile card that should always be in your list if you're playing an Autobot leader. Finally, we have a card called Heroism. Heroism, which is for some reason utility, and it just doesn't seem like a utility to me. Anyway, Heroism is a very interesting card because it's somewhat of a bodyguard effect. What it does is it redirects damage from one of your characters to another character. So for instance, say Optimus is tapped, and you have Heroism on Bumblebee or Jazz, and they just hit Optimus Prime with an unbelievable amount of damage that you really, really can't take. You can force that damage over to Jazz instead, and have him take the hit where Optimus Prime would. It's a great card to keep your special cards intact, and take the lesser important cards out of the equation. Now, as an inclusion that I would have for this list, I would probably play New Designs. New Designs is a very good card in that it gives you a free upgrade. It's an action card, of course, which means you can use Optimus Prime's effect, flip it off of one of your attack flips, and then play a free upgrade. it helps you stack a bunch of Matrix of Leadership, and it really should belong in your list, but the biggest trouble is finding the room. Another thing that I would recommend that you would at least look into is putting in the bigger they are. The bigger they are is a cousin of Leap into Battle, but it gives your 6-star guys something to do. It gives them +2 attack, but if they are fighting something that is more stars than them, it gives them Pierce 4, which of course you already have a lot of Pierce anyway. You're going to be doing a lot of confirmed damage with the bigger they are, and it would be very interesting to put it into the list, especially since you can reuse it given Optimus Prime's vehicle mode. Now, as for the matchups, I would say that anything that allows you to set up will lose, because they just can't deal with all the Matrix of Leadership in play, and you just spasm all over them with untapping Optimus Prime. But to pretty much bring that into a certain number of lists, I would say you have a very good matchup against motorcycles, against planes, against maybe even Dinobots, just because you can put out a lot of damage, and things that have similar setup time will just lose to you in the long game. Now, a lot of the bad matchups for you would be things that can kind of outpace and outmaneuver your cars, your support cars, which would be Insecticons. They can out heal you, and tanks can be a problem if you can't get your Matrix of Leadership. Otherwise, these guys are pretty much useless against tanks because they're doing virtually no damage to them. And of course, if you end up with no damage coming from 2 of your characters, you only have 1 attack out of you, and, well, Optimus is going to be focused down as fast as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and please drop a like if you liked this video. And of course, if you really liked it, subscribe to me and hit that bell icon if you want to know when my videos go live. You'll be in great, great company. So, without further ado, this is Nanomachines, signing off. Goodbye. Oh God! How do I get past this?